The next portion of this is going to be the various directors giving their thoughts on things, 5 to 10 minutes at most, after which then we will go for the remainder with the questions from the members. Rose, would you start us off, please?
Is this thing turned on? Being the newest board member, I really didn't want to go first. But my opinion, and I'm not supposed to give solutions, but I don't know how you can give an opinion without a solution. And mine is, of course, that the community center has to be rebuilt. And I don't know what to do on the maintenance building. And we'll see about the Hartman building when the time comes. My main concern is after these buildings are built, how are we going to make sure that the board members in the future make sure they're taken care of? I believe it should be in the CC&Rs, that it has to be done within a period of time. So that's my main concern. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Rose. Jack, you're next. Can you pass the microphone to Jack, please?
There you go.
Unaccustomed as I am to using this and arriving on time, I apologize. There was a communication breakdown, and I will take responsibility for that. I've been a director now for a couple of months. I'm just beginning to get to the point where I can ascertain what has transpired up till now and to try to find out the best method of getting to where we want to go. And based upon my business experience and in looking at what avenues we have available to us as directors, I've come to the conclusion that we haven't done as directors overall, done the job we need to do to be effective. Illustrative examples, we don't have a mission statement that everybody can address their attention to so that we're all going in the same direction. We don't have a set of generic goals that say, what does this board of directors and what does this corporation at this time have as their direction? And we hear the same thing from some of our committees. They're asking us, where's your mission statement? How do we know how we're supposed to interact with you? After that, it becomes obvious to me, and I think you've heard enough today as it relates to our current situation, which is very dire. When we go forward, we have to go forward as a total, comprehensive, singular unit. You're the people that are important and are going to make this work or fail. I'm just one of you. I've been here for 2 months, and from my experience, if we don't start with those rudimentary things in terms of establish these parameters as a board of directors, and then developing a long-range strategic plan that encompasses all the factors that Rod talked to you about so that we know what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, what are the checks and balances as we go that's updated, let's say, every quarter that says for this 10-year strategic plan for keep taking care of our amenities, here's where we stand today. Are we on schedule? What do we need to do to get back on schedule if we're not? And we have a process and a vehicle that everybody can look at and work from. And we're going to need every one of your help. For example, within this community right here, this group, you all have individual skill sets that could be beneficial to the community. And I'm a very strong advocate of having, for example, an inventory of the skill sets that are available to us in the community so we can utilize them and all work together to achieve the same goals. So I believe we, as first order of business, before we decide anything as it relates to which building first and when and why, we need to have a network, have a strategic plan that allows us to then decide how we're going to do it and when we're going to do it. And if we can utilize the skill sets that are in the community, and if we all have the same goal and objectives, and it's readily available to all of us, we can go down the road together and solve this very critical problem. So I'm going to look to you to come forward if we're going to accomplish our goal. Otherwise, I believe we will fail. And it encompasses a great deal of skill sets, such as evaluating the cost effectiveness of any operation, doing cost-benefit analysis on all of these processes, et cetera, et cetera. And I only have a limited time, but I'm available at any time to any of you to talk about how we're going to do this and to enlist your cooperation to do it. So I will thank you for your help in advance.
Thank you. Bruce?
Hello, everybody. I've been looking forward to the start of these town hall meetings and the opportunity for this board to hear directly from you, our members. While we're facing a large number of challenges, I have chosen to take the approach of not declaring a crisis and not claiming the sky is falling. I see this as a great opportunity to pull our community together around our common ideas, to rebuild our neglected infrastructure into facilities where our members can gather for a variety of activities, gather with pride, and where we can regain our sense of our community. What are my personal views? I really believe it's too early to reach any conclusions now. This is a time for fact-finding and consensus building. First, I was looking forward to learning about the facts about our current situation so that we can have discussions based on a common understanding. Now I'm looking forward to hear our members' ideas, what they want in a community center, how they would prioritize our needs, and their ideas for funding plans. As a retiree on a fixed income, I'm hopeful that we can find solutions that utilize our current reserves and would not require special assessments or major assessment increases. One thing is clear to me: the time to lament past failures and point fingers is now past. Now we must realistically assess our position, reach consensus on a strategic plan that includes our facilities, and most importantly, put that plan into place. So thank you.
Steve?
My name is Steve Verhard. I've been on the board since September and on the Finance Committee for about a year or more prior to that. So my background is in finance, accounting. I've been doing that throughout my career before I retired about 4 years ago. I have my own personal opinions on how we should address the issues, but I'd like to present to you first what it is that we have and why did we buy our homes here at Hidden Valley Lake. One, because the prices were reasonable and there's a wide range of values to our homes and prices in comparison to Santa Rosa and nearby neighborhoods. Secondly, we are looking at the amenities. When we drive down Highway 29, when we were strangers to Hidden Valley Lake, we saw a beautiful golf course and such. And when we investigated a little bit deeper, we found that there were a lot of other amenities that we could enjoy in a gated community. Talking about the amenities, there are a bunch. We have the green view and the golf course. We have the community center and the pool, stables, the lake, including boat docks, beaches, fishing docks, etc. And we have parks in various locations in our community. The issue you've heard Rod talk about is quite dire indeed. When we look at these particular amenities, we're looking at the community center, we're looking at Hartman, and we're looking at the maintenance facility. And the question that I always ask myself when I see these kind of pictures, where were we last year? Why did we not know that this was happening to us a year ago? Well, it really came to front during this past season. We had quite, as we all know, a heavy rainy season, and that really brought up the issues that we really should have been able to identify some years back. It's my understanding we knew that the roof needed repair. As was alluded to earlier, we simply, at that time, decided to kick the can down the road for whatever reason. But here we are today, and we need to take a close look at how we could resolve the issues. I don't have a solution, but I'd like to present to you that we have done, for the last couple of years, a reserve study by an independent organization, Browning, and we have facilitated to set aside a certain amount of funds each year in order to bring these buildings back to where they need to be. And I'll would like to share with you that the community center, for example, in our Browning study, has a total rehab renovation budget for a building to be built in 2021 for a little over $2,500,000. That does not include what we were currently scheduled to do, like rehabbing the restroom facilities this year, an HVAC system and furnishings in 2018, as well as appliances that come out to $34,000, $35,000. In 2019, replace a radio system as well as appliances for a little over or close to $87,000. If we add all this together, we really have a reserve available fund of about 2.7, a little bit below $2.7 million. If we look at the Hartman building, we have a new construction set in the reserve study for a little over $2.8 million to be started. According to the reserve, to start building in 2019, we set aside about, at that time, we would have available about $1.4 million, and again, $1.4 million in 2020, for a total of 2.8 altogether, a little over $2.8 million for that facility alone. The building and ground maintenance shop was again set aside to do a renovation rather than a rebuild. There we have at the end, the plan there was to do this in 2019 for a little over 73 million, sorry, 73,000.
No, that's the right amount.
That's going to be quite a maintenance shed.
Special assessment.
Anyway, so the maintenance facility, about $80,000 as a reno. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we have already, or the Browning study has already set aside for us to accumulate enough funding so that in the years 2019, we were planning to do the Hartman project, and then in to continue to 2020, and then in 2021 to start working on the community center. So really, we need to flip-flop that. And I haven't done an extensive study as to where the funds would be available. I think Roddy alluded to all of the opportunities that we have, but I did take the opportunity to take a look at some of the other or one other specific area within our reserve study in reference to road repair. And some people have said the roads are in dire need for repair, and we have some significant funding set aside to do that. 2017, $350,000, $575,000 for 2018. And we go to 2000, I'll skip 19, it's about $588,000. Then in 2020, there seems to be a major project set aside that amounts to about $2.5 million for road renovation. Now, I haven't looked at all the details, but my theory is that there is a good opportunity for us not to necessarily kick the can down the street, but to reevaluate what it is we've set aside on the reserve study that we could swap temporarily to get us started on the community center. And that's something that we can discuss going forward to see exactly where those opportunities are to minimize the assessment increase for the coming year. In closing, we have the Finance Committee has set forth a schedule to begin our budgeting process for 2018 and work together with staff. This is about a 4 or 5 month project. So in that, obviously knowing the dire needs of what it is we need to do. We're going to take a close look at our operating budget, at our reserve study, and really take a close look at what our opportunities are and what would be best for the community without making a major increase in our assessments. Thank you.
Mike?
It's working. I want to thank everybody for coming today and for staying. And I think it's clear from what you've heard already that everyone on the board takes very seriously the legal responsibility that we're facing for these assets. They've been a major community issue for more than 10 years that I know of, and that goes back longer than I have lived in Hidden Valley Lake, and that may be true for some of you as well. But my objective from here on is to assemble, develop, devise from whatever source viable options for the buildings and the lake. We have been talking about our buildings for quite a while, but you did earlier hear about our lake situation, and that's part of this financial juggle as well. My goal is to get viable options on the table and options that we can flesh out enough so that choices can be offered to the membership in this November's election. To do that, we're going to have to set aside a lot of the who struck John that has gone on here for the past 20 years. We're going to have to focus on where we are, where the lake is, where the buildings are, where our money is. And from what Steve has said, we clearly have some resources to work with. We are not rich, but we are not broke either. We have to focus on how to use what we have as constructively as possible, and the entire community has to be involved. I think one lesson we've learned from the past is that this cannot be a top-down process. We're starting today a dialogue with you and the rest of the members who are not able to be here, the other 1,750 residents, plus those who live outside. There will be more dialogue has to come, and any plan that we get to can only succeed if the community, if you all understand it and buy into it, and that's our only hope. That's the one clear lesson from the past that I hope we can remember. We're all in this together. Let's go forward and try to make the best of this situation. As Bruce said, I think this can be an opportunity. It's been said before that every crisis is an opportunity, and this is certainly one. So that's all I'm going to say. So far, this has been our our output to you. As soon as Doug is finished, we want to hear what you have to say, your questions, your comments, everything. As Rod said, and we're here until 5. So let's get started.
All right, what I would say is that business as usual in this community has led to a situation where we have this problem today. We have a number of buildings that are in very serious stage of disrepair, and I don't think that we can afford to have business as usual anymore in this community. We need to find a better way to manage our affairs. As far as I'm concerned, everything is on the table for consideration. There is nothing that is off the table, but it should be subject for consideration, discussion, and hopefully arrive at a consensus from amongst the memberships in collaboration with the board so that we can get to this point together. It's absolutely essential. What I do hope is that this marks the beginning of an effective, new, cooperative relationship between the board of directors and the membership. I think we have a good start at that. We're going to have a series of these town hall meetings. So this really is just the beginning. Nevertheless, whatever we arrive at, by the end of this series of town halls, whatever we decide at collectively should be the path forward in terms of what are the buildings to be repaired or replaced, what is the time schedule, the sequence for them, what is an affordable cost for them, how will they be paid for. All of these things, I believe, should go on the ballot in our November election and be decided by you. So you will have ample opportunity to chart the future for this association. So that's what I have to say. Thank you all for being here, and we're going to turn it over to you.